Craig Button rolled out a bold statement about the Leafs that sparked a lot of chatter on social media. Now, Jamie McLennan and Bryan get their chance to chime in on whether it's fact or fiction. Guys, Craig said, and I quote, "There's no better tandem in the NHL, maybe no equal to Stolarz and Woll," end quote. He also compared them to Ullmark and Swayman when they were brilliant sharing the Bruins net. All right, Hayes, fact or fiction?
I'm fact on that first part. Okay, I'm not quite fact when it comes to comparing them to Swayman and Ullmark yet, because it's so early in the season and so early in their history in terms of being a tandem, Gino. But the stats are in, man. We can go on tsn.ca and find this. What Craig said last night was a fact. When it comes to statistics, Anthony Stolarz, Joseph Woll, they're both top 5 in save percentage, both top 5 in goals against. They have been outstanding. And Stolarz has been the lead dog here because of Woll's injury earlier in the year. But he's had one off night, maybe two, and even those, it's not as if he was awful. He just struggled, relatively speaking. Stolarz has been outstanding, and the last month, Woll has joined him. They both have become a two-headed monster, and the stats speak to that. The confidence speaks to that. I think, again, the Leafs have had a lot of players who have played well this year. Stolarz has been their best player, and I think Woll has been right behind him the last month. So I agree with exactly what Craig said last night. It's early December. This is not April. This is not May. But as of right now, where we are in the NHL, yes, this tandem in Toronto, it is a fact, has been the best tandem in the league.
But guys, Bob McKenzie was one asked to name the best D tandem in junior hockey history. And he said, that's easy. It's Bobby Orr and whoever slug played along beside him. Connor Hellebuyck is the front runner for the Vezina. He's got the better numbers than Stolarz. Number one right now, he's spectacular. I would think if you could trade the Leafs tandem for Hellebuyck and Comrie, you'd make that deal in a second. So doesn't that mean the Jets have the better tandem, Noodles?
Well, I'm going to go because, yeah, it's a lot to unpack here, Gino, because if it's Connor Hellebuyck and Gino Reda, if it's Connor Hellebuyck and Jamie McLennan, I still think you would go, hey, we'll take Hellebuyck because of how great he is. And you're right. Right now, if you're picking the Vezina, he would win the Vezina because he's been that brilliant. But I think the word tandem comes into factor here because Comrie certainly hasn't been as good as Connor Hellebuyck. He's been great in a sense, but he hasn't played the minutes. So when you're looking at the word tandem, that's when Stolarz and Woll come into the situation. Now, factually, they've been brilliant. But I'm going to throw one other tandem situation at you, and that's the Minnesota Wild. Because Philip Gustafson and Marc-Andre Fleury have been right there as well. Fleury hasn't lost the game. Now, he's only had six appearances, but Gustafson is statistically right at the top of the league. And the Minnesota Wild, that's the team right there, they are at the top of the league too. So that's who I would challenge with the tandem of Woll and Stolarz. So they would be my number two. My number one would be the Minnesota Wild. But when you're coming back to just, hey, who's the best goaltender and who's along for the ride? There's plenty of guys. There's Vasilevsky and Jerry Johansson and, guys like that, Shesterkin and Quick, Sorokin and Varlamov. There's plenty of good tandems and guys that have been there. But the Toronto Maple Leafs guys have been fantastic, and I can see where Craig and Hayes are coming from.
All right, it's a great debate, but wherever you've got them ranked, it's the first time in what feels like forever the Leafs are really confident in their goaltending. Hayes, how much of this is the tandem of Stolarz and Woll versus the system that Craig Berube has the guys playing in front of him?
I'm not sure you can separate the two because I think they're linked. Again, the goaltenders have been outstanding, and I think Noodles would speak to this. You still have to be the last line of defense. You have to make big stops, and they have. But they're not being asked to make 40 saves every single night. 45, 15 to 20 high danger chances or slot shots. You look at the analytics of what the Leafs are doing defensively, it is basically night and day compared to where they were last year. And I think in large part that's Craig Berube and also Brad Treliving, quite frankly, because Chris Tanev is here, Oliver Ekman-Larsson's here, and their top four has been solidified. It's the best top four they've had in probably 20 years. So you look at the way they're protecting the crease. It's very, very efficient. The way that they're protecting the slot, pushing guys to the outside, that's Berube, that's the system, that's the players in front of them. So honestly, I don't think you can separate them, Noodles, because the goalies are going to benefit from better defensive play, and the defensive stats are going to look better because the goalies are playing so well.
100%. I agree. They go hand in hand. But that being said, I'm going to go back to a comment that you made earlier that Anthony Stolarz could be the most consistent and best Leaf right from the drop of the puck this season. He's been fantastic, and on a couple nights where they've been a little bit sleepy, maybe early in the game, he's made those big saves. He's helped settle the team into their game. So yes, Tanev, Oliver Ekman-Larsson added in with McCabe and Riley. That is a solid top four. The system, they're playing a lot harder, but the goaltender has been fantastic. So they do go hand in hand. Both of them have been brilliant. So that's the reason why the Leafs are right at the top.
Guys, the Leafs are currently third in goals against per game. Only the Jets and Wild are better. The last time the Leafs led the league in that stat, 1965, when the tandem of Bauer and Sawchuk were the best of the original six clubs.